Alright, we've come to it. It's time to face Rainbow Man. Now, I've seen a lot of reviews where this stage has been the focus of many a player's frustration, and I've seen a lot of players just outright decry the entire game based on this one level, and you know what, I do not blame them. This was the last level out of the 8 that I played, and, well, I guess down the rabbit hole we go. Let me just say that there is going to be no pot of gold at the end of this rainbow. I'm actually worried if I can say any positive thing about this level, but here we go. Alright, we drop down. Here we are on the stage. It's obviously a vertical themed stage, just based on the first screen. And down we go! Okay. If I had dropped down on the left side of the screen, it's a good thing I dropped down on the right, because if I had dropped down on the left, I could have been hit by that enemy, stalled for just long enough for that one of those laser beams to instantly kill me. Because yes, those are instant death laser beams, kind of like Quickman stage in Mega Man 2. So from the very beginning, when I played this level, I dropped down this screen and I got worried, because this is already a bad idea. So this screen got me worried, from the start. Now this enemy here, it's a little, leprechaun, and you know, I like its design from a aesthetic standpoint. It's a cute idea. Little leprechaun pops up when little gold coins shoot out, except that attacking it is really annoying because of the gold coins making it difficult to hit it, so you really have to time it like super instantly. You activate them and then you shoot them in the head right away. Now these things change direction when you shoot them. It's never really clear whether they move in a clockwise or counterclockwise pattern. They pretty much move towards you when you shoot them, but not sure. It's hard to get a grasp on how that works. So it's a change to the formula, let's say. Now the screen above this one got me instantly worried, and this is the screen that just broke my heart. Okay, so I'm trapped, by pretty much no fault of my own, in a situation where the only thing I can do is kill myself. Can't get out of this situation without dying by my own hands. You can actually disable those little turret things by shooting them with the glue shot, so if you happen to have the glue shot before coming in here, you can stop them, but that doesn't stop the one coming out from the side over there. So still, to progress in this game, I have to kill myself. I don't think I need to tell you that this is awful, awful game design, but there's more to it than that. Now, I should say that I was very impressed with this game in my first run, and that I thought it was cleverly designed and had a lot of thought put into it, and more than anything, it felt more like a Mega Man game than any fan mod I've ever played before, until I got to this level. And it's heartbreaking that it happened to be the last one I played of the original 8, because it built me up so high only to knock me so far down. Now, I'm actually going to take a moment, just on this screen, so that it can sink in, because I feel this represents a lot of what's wrong with this design, and go into why I think this is a perfect example of some of the most, I feel mean saying it, but it's awful and misguided level design to ever befall a Mega Man title. And if you don't care about what I have to say and just want to skip ahead to the rest of the level, I'll put an annotation in or something, I don't know. But I hope that you'll consider what I have to say and that it'll make you think a little less passively about this, because it does mean a lot to me. So if you're sticking around, just lean back and listen to the sultry sound of my voice. Okay, where to begin? I feel like I shouldn't have to say that making an entire level built around one-hit deaths is a poor idea, and yes, this entire level is based around that. It's not just a short gimmick and then there's more to it. No, it's just the entire level, all instant death beams. But even more than that being the problem, this level is built around memorization. It's not built around platforming challenge, it's built around knowing the layout of the room that you are entering before you enter it. And if you don't know the layout before you enter it, you get placed into a situation like I'm stuck in now. In this level, if you stop to think for a second, you're either dead or stranded, like I am now. If you happen to choose to fall on the wrong side of the exit, like in the first screen, you're either dead or you're stranded. If you make one mistake in most of the rooms, you have to restart the level from the beginning or from the checkpoint if you happen to make it that far. This is not challenge. This is not platforming. This is memorizing every room, and it's rote repetition until you get it right. Everything has one solution to it, pretty much. You know, I could choose to stop that one beam above me, but that's not the solution to this room, so that doesn't matter. The beams move too fast, so you oftentimes just not knowing that you need to slide in a given room is enough to kill you. It's trial and error, and practically nothing but trial and error, and that is not Mega Man. And here's the reason why. Basing an entire level around one-hit deaths, more than anything, removes depth from gameplay. And I don't know why so many fan designers are afraid of the health bar in this game, but the health bar is super important to the series. Players should be allowed to make mistakes. That's why there's a health bar. It's a statement from Mega Man's creators that mistakes are okay, and that one-hit deaths completely disagrees with something that is fundamentally Mega Man. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of disagreement there, but let me continue here. The whole idea is that there should never only be one way to make it through a level. That's what depth is. Depth is anything that gives you more options to approach a situation in the game, and having a life bar does that. If I'm up against a tough enemy whose pattern I can't nail down, one thing I can do is make the choice to take a hit and run past it, knowing that that may hurt me later by allowing me fewer mistakes in the future, but it's still a gameplay choice that I have. These sorts of situations add depth. Weapons add depth. E-tanks add depth. One-hit deaths removes depth. It basically makes it so that every room has effectively one way through it. Maybe there are a couple of very slight variations, but by removing the choice for a player to make a mistake, you are removing depth from your game. Now, I've already been asked, and I'm sure some of you are asking right now, how is this any different from Quick Man stage in Mega Man 2? So let's take a look at that stage now, as a case study, if you will. First off, I will say that I'm not a huge fan of Quick Man stage to begin with, and I think it has a lot of the problems that I've already discussed, such as punishing players for simply falling down the wrong side of a pit, and the issues about death that I brought up, but there are ways that they balance this. So let's focus on the things that Quick Man stage does well. First off, you'll notice that whenever the screen scrolls downward, it not only does it at a fairly decent pace so that you can kind of absorb the shape of the upcoming room, but it also freezes for a moment before giving you control. It may not seem like much, but that extra second is super important because it lets your brain take in the entire room, notice the safe zones, and if you're on a trajectory where you'll land in a bad spot, like by picking the wrong side of the pit to fall into, you actually have enough time to notice and process that, and are given enough time to react before the laser hits you. It doesn't seem like much, but it's a big difference between Quick Man stage and how Rainbow Man stage, where you're instantly given control as soon as the screen scrolls, and you have no time to take in your surroundings. None. You have to be moving the second that screen scrolls, and the second you are given control. Secondly, the areas are all designed so that there are no safe zones when you're falling. You can't be trapped in a spot like I am right now in Rainbow Man stage, and be forced to kill yourself because the game wasn't good enough to kill you itself. Or if there is like a place where you can land safely, there's still a way out of the room. There's only one case of that in Quick Man stage, I'm pretty sure. I feel Quick Man stage does a good job of establishing this right away, so that you know that you have to make it to the exit as quickly as possible and to not lollygag. And though they place items to kind of distract you along the way, by that point that they appear, you should already know that it's a cheap enticement and a cheap trick, and that it's up to you to decide whether or not it's worth the risk. Oh man. And you may ask, how is that different from Rainbow Man stage, establishing that you have to keep moving? Well, here's the most important part. Quick Man stage is designed vertically. Isn't Rainbow Man's? No. And the thing about Quick Man stage is that you're always given the full shape of the room in that split second before you get control after the screen scroll, and your exit is always going to be below you. Always. And since Quick Man stage is designed more vertically, you always have gravity as an extra force pushing you along and making your progress through each screen quicker. All you really have to do is direct your fall by moving left to right, for the most part. There's like one place where you really have to jump. And gravity does the rest. So the whole basis of making it through Quick Man stage is taking in the shape of the room, not really the obstacles or the enemy placement or anything like that, just the overall generic shape, and thinking, this is the path to the exit, I just have to hit left or right pretty much to direct it. That's what makes it work as well as it does, and even then I don't think it works that well, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. Rainbow Man stage, however, is designed more in a horizontal space. You'll land on one side of the screen, and you'll have to cross to the other side of the screen without the aid of a force like gravity pushing you along. and often through a gauntlet of lasers, and often by completing some sort of rotating laser-based puzzle along the way. This is, among other things, completely counterintuitive to the impulse to move quickly through each area, which the game is supposed to be trying to instill in you. If they wanted to do something in the same vein of Quickman Stage, the worst thing they can do is introduce a new gimmick. By having those rotating lasers and these red prism beams that are going to be coming up soon, you're adding an extra thought process to every room that's going to slow down the player. When you drop down into a room, the first thing you're going to see, like just in terms of brain chemistry, in terms of how your eyes work, the first thing you're going to see is these new gimmicks. And you'll have to think, do I need to shoot that beam thingy to make it turn around in order to be safe? When your only thought in entering the room should be, what is the shape of this room, and how quickly can I get to the exit? That's how Quickman Stage works, and that's effective. Your brain actually has to stop and take in the new gimmick and think it through, in this case, and creating enough of a distraction that it's going to slow down your progress through the room no matter how quickly you're moving, because your brain has just too much to deal with. The design of this level promotes super quick movement, but then it also asks the player to stop and think, and then punishes them for doing so. There's a particular room up ahead where I dropped down, and the first thing I saw was one of those red prism things that it fires a beam that fracts and goes into your path. So I see this, the first thing I see when I drop into the room, and my first thought is to shoot it quickly so that it faces a different direction, and that ought to be safe. So I jump to hit it, turn it around, and keep running, and then I get hit by another beam at the bottom of the screen that I didn't even see, because I was focusing on the prism and how to solve that puzzle. Turns out that you just have to slide through this room to make it past that second beam, but I couldn't have known that because the level design was intentionally distracting me from even seeing that. And just, you're putting in a gimmick and then asking the players to completely disregard it. That's just awful, awful design. While we're on the subject, I have to ask, maybe I'm alone on this, but maybe not, does anyone actually like those Quickman beams? Does anyone actually fondly think back on Quickman Stage in Mega Man 2? Because most people I know only remember frustration, and most people I know don't rush to play that stage first when they boot up the game because they love it so much. And yet I feel like I see them in every fan-made Mega Man game ever. They were in Mega Man Cross Street Fighter or whatever. I think they were in Raku-chan, and in a bunch of other ones I've played. Why do so many of these fan designers think they're a good idea? I mean, see, Capcom, they didn't even perfect the quick beams in Mega Man 2. But they were at least somewhat manageable, and even they learned their lesson to pretty much never use them again. The only other instances of the quick beams are in Mega Man 7, in which it lasts for like 2 screens that are based entirely on downward movement, have the beams move super slow and pretty much only require one slide to get out of the way for the entire section. I've seen it argue that they were also kind of used in Mega Man 9 with the lasers in the Mega Man stage and then in the Wily stages. But they're used in the completely opposite way. I mean, they fire in a regular interval, and they make the player stop and think about how to safely pass them instead of having to rush it. So that's completely the opposite from this setup. And the only other time that they've been used, as far as I can recall in the main series anyway, was in the Fortress stages of Mega Man X5. And that game was so sloppy I could spend a whole episode on how badly it was designed too. But even with all its faults, it does one thing very right that Capcom also did with Mega Man 2. It gave you the Darkhold weapon. It gave you a weapon that can stop time and let you not have to bother with the challenge. And that's a great way to get around a poorly thought out challenge, if I've ever heard of one. And it also adds depth to the gameplay. It gives you a way to make it easier for you at a cost. So many people play Flashman stage before Quickman's, and they don't even use his weapon against the boss. And this is just... it's brilliant. If this game, if Mega Man Unlimited, had a time-stopping weapon, then maybe it would get away with having a section like this, but definitely not an entire level based around it. And yeah, you can use Glue Man's weapon to free some of the layers, but that does not really add any depth. It really causes more problems than anything, because it distracts you when the solution to each room pretty much is make it as fast as you can. Don't stop and think. And any time that you spend freezing one of the layers, it could just screw you up with a laser ahead. But you know what, that's enough of that for now. Let's just move on, and I'll try to comment more on a room basis as I go along, presuming I can remember this well enough. Probably should have practiced this. If you disagree or have any other points to bring up, or if there's something I've missed, please say so in the comments. I really value discussion more than anything, and I'm just trying to get more people to think critically about the game's design. So thanks for bearing with me through this rant, and Let's die. Because that's all I can do. And let's see how well my memory works. I actually almost gave up on this game when I first played this level. Just after like the first game over, I stopped playing this game for a couple of days and thought, this is not even worth it anymore. A level of frustration that this level brings out is just not worth the attention to it. And I almost just considered not playing the rest of the game at all. But I eventually came back to it. Good thing I jumped on the left side of that pit, because if I had jumped on the right side, I would have landed in that prism and died. Yep, if I had just picked right instead of left, I'd be dead again, through no fault of my own. And again, you have to shoot this, but you don't know which direction it's going to turn when you shoot it. Thankfully, I know it's going to turn towards me, so let's quickly shoot that. This is the room I was mentioning before, where if you kind of try and shoot that thing, it's just going to get you killed. So I'm just going to rush through it instead. Now, since I had to lose a life, I'm going to try and get this one back. We'll use Yo-Yo Cutter for that. It's actually very useful in turning these lasers around. But only in rooms like this, where they're not even in the way, and they're just kind of slowing you down from grabbing fun stuff. But let's move on. Here's another room where if you stop for a second, you're pretty much screwed. And this room here, if you hesitate for even a second, you're dead. No matter what you do, you're pretty much screwed. You can't stop any of those lasers. The way I got through it is pretty much the only way you can do it. Seriously, screw this room so much. Screw this. I can't. Ugh. I'm not going to be able to say a single good thing about this. This is the checkpoint. Yeah, I know. Weird, right? Because we're about to go to the mini-boss. So if you die at the mini-boss, you have to keep fighting the mini-boss over and over again. It's pretty much the opposite of where the checkpoints worked in every other stage, where they would always appear after the mini-boss. But here's the reason. The mini-boss, oh yes, has an instant kill move. It's fairly easy to dodge, but there's still a crippling problem with it, in that this ball guy kind of randomly appears throughout this area. And if you're unlucky for him to appear pretty much, let's say if he appeared over here on the left side, and it used the laser on the right, then if you tried to dodge it by running up the right side and jumping onto the platform, his body would be blocking the way, and you would just get hit. So, they really should have planned his spawn points better, so that he never would spawn on the opposite side of where the laser was coming, or he would never spawn so close to the platform that you can't jump on it. Because otherwise you're just screwed if you get unlucky like that. Let's fall down here, where we can get some more fun things. I'm gonna use Nail Shield to kill that guy, get this little life, and why not get some more bolts. Now I have to remember which side of the screen to fall down here, because if I pick the wrong side, I instantly die. I'm pretty sure I should be on the right. Oh good, I picked the right side, because if I had picked the wrong one, I'd be dead. Can you understand why I think this is awful? Another room that really showcases how different this is from Quickman Stage. Once again, gravity does not really pay any mind to maneuvering through this area. I have to climb upwards, I have to cross from the left side of the screen horizontally to the right. It really doesn't work too well. And, hold on, I don't even know... And see here, I want to shoot this so that it turns around, but I don't know which direction it's going to turn when I shoot it. For all I know, it's going to instantly kill me. So I can't do that. Instead, I'm going to have to go up here and use the Yo-Yo Cutter, but if I didn't have the Yo-Yo Cutter, what would be the safe way through that? I don't know. This is running a little choppy, but whatever. Good thing I knew to slide there. If I hadn't slid, I'd be dead. Once again, this is just nothing but memorization. Uh-oh. Did I mess it up? Messed it up. Okay. So that's the path to get the Yoku letter in this level, and I forgot that there was one. But thankfully there's two ways to get it. This is the only level that has... This is the only part of the level that has depth. And that's... Okay. Oh, that's really difficult to time. But a great use of the Comet Dash. Now let's run along here. Now, here we have our first actual new gimmick. I mean... Well, not really new, but it's something that feels more rainbowish. It's a light kind of area, and I really wish that this level experimented more with light in general, because I feel that that has much more gameplay opportunities to it than this silly Quickman ripoff. Oh, can I make it? Once again, here I'm just running. I don't even care about that room. It's so complicated looking, but I'm not even going to give it a peace of mind to look at because it's not worth it. I'm just going to take damage and run. Hope that I don't die. Run again. I don't even care about this level design. I'm not going to give it a second thought because it's just, what's the goddamn point? You might as well just run as fast as possible until you make it through. Because that's the solution. Why make a room so complicated like the one a few up when I shouldn't even want to give it any mind? I shouldn't want to think about how the safe way is to get through it when I should just be running. It's just poor design. But whatever. God, I hate these enemies so much. Like, this is a perfect example of just how annoying they can be if you just can't get the timing absolutely perfectly. And I could spend another 10 minutes just trying to kill this one stupid enemy. Oh, forget it. Had enough. Jesus. I'm so sick of this. I seriously cannot stand this goddamn enemy. Yes, go away. And this should be where we're joining back to our last section. I'm not going to show you the rooms that we missed because they're just as bad as all the others. And, oh man, I must sound like such an asshole right now, just being so critical of this stage, but seriously, I cannot say a single good thing about it. Not a single good thing. And even just in itself, compared this level to every other level in this game. I mean, the first 7 feel nothing like this. They're not built around one-hit deaths and just rote repetition and memorization. They actually have platforming challenge to them. So this one stands out in the worst possible way. And just everything's wrong with it. Here we have Rainbow Man. He's gonna fire some stuff, and then he's gonna, alright, run across. This is actually my first time fighting him with a regular buster. Whoa! I usually just... Glue Man's his weakness, and I usually just plow him with it. And I probably should have. But hey, I was actually doing alright for my first time using the regular buster. He's another boss that seems really crazy because there's a lot going on the screen at a time, especially with the weird cloud weather effects and everything like that. Once you know his pattern, he's not too terrible, but it's still too long of a fight. Like, it's another one of those fights where you stand around waiting for him to do things. I feel like they designed far too many of these bosses around kind of like waiting. Oh, right, and something to note, that instant death prism is not an instant death prism, not like the others in the game. Sure, the mini-boss has an instant kill move, but thankfully the boss is even easier. Oops. I keep thinking that I want to shoot through that. But overall, not too bad once you get it down. I'd say that Rainbow Man is actually the easiest part of this stage, but this stage is not challenging. It's not anything but frustrating and just repetition and memorization. It's, you know, people who describe this stage as hard are really missing the point, I feel. It's not a difficult stage. It is a poorly designed stage. Now, in terms of how to fix this, I'm sure in the re-releases of this game or the patches, they're gonna slow down the beams. Or maybe they'll make the beams not instant kill, but maybe do like a quarter or a third of your health so that you have more, you know, mess up freedom, let's say. But ultimately they can't fix something this broken and this misguided, because this is nothing like how Mega Man should be. And even if you change the damage or the timing or anything like that, there's no depth to this level. There's still only going to be one way through every room, and it's still going to be just finding the right solution and turning this into a puzzle game and turning this into I want to be the guy, and don't even get me started on that. So really, if I were the designer, and I know I'm not, and I say this with the utmost respect for Megaphil and his team, because I do really appreciate this game and how much time and how much care went into it, most of it. But I don't know how his beta testers or his level play testers or anything like that let him get away with this. Within 10 seconds of playing this level, I could have told him that it was a bad idea. And if I were him, I would just scrap it completely. I would not try to rebalance it. I would just make a completely new level based on a completely new gimmick. And why not make a new gimmick? With a theme like light, there's so much you can do with that. So much you can do with changing the lighting of the level, or making light-based platforms. I don't know, triggers like an Indiana Jones style. You know, you cross the light and somehow the level changes, something like that. I can think of a dozen cool ideas for a level that aren't just a rip-off of Quickman Stage. That is, frankly, done worse than Quickman Stage. So yeah, you can try and rebalance this all you want. It's still gonna be a mistake, I think. And if you disagree, please explain why. I'd really love to get into a dialogue about this, and not just me ranting. I apologize for the kind of the boringness of the first part of this level. I wish I had something more visually enticing to display, but I really do have a lot to say about this. I really think this speaks most to what's wrong with this game, and there isn't much wrong with this game. Like I said, I very much respect Megaphil and his team, and I do think that this is overall a very positive product, but this is the worst thing about it by far. And I don't think that there's any argument about that, really. So yeah, that's my piece for now, and hopefully nothing else will come to me. Take care, all.